looking into a new employer changes those considerations, rather than focusing on how I, as a known entity, can bring value to a to how no, I as a known entity can bring value to and be compensated for a new role. I focus instead on big picture organizational factors. So remember, in this situation, you're coming from the outside to a new organization. They don't know about your past performance. You're not a proven entity. So you got to look at other factors when you're thinking about what you're going to be, what you can be compensated. What other things can you bring to the table to justify that higher salary when you walk in the door? The job description and requirements, the organization's revenue and profit margin health. Is this a big profitable company that can pay high competitive wages? Now think about that one for a minute, right? If you're working for an organization, let's say you're working for an organization that sells products and they've got 50, 60% gross margin, they're a real healthy, profitable company. They do have the extra capital to be able to afford, more competitive, higher wages for their employees. Whereas let's say you walk in an organization that's like a small startup mom and pop shop, and maybe they can only afford, they can afford the bare minimum salaries. They don't have that money for those increases every year. So, which one are you going to choose? Maybe the small mom and pop place gives you more opportunity to learn more skills that'll make you more valuable down the road. Or maybe the large organization's ready to pay you now. They've got, they're just basically a more profitable organization. So it's something to keep in mind. The competitive landscape for my functional skills, in the open market. Let's just say, I'm going into Silicon Valley and, there's obviously IT jobs all over the place, but they don't have enough information assurance people, enough systems people. Am I going to a hotbed for IT? Thus, I am pretty much in the driver's seat if there's a need for my skill set. If there's, they need systems administrators all over town, and I'm one person, and there's five openings, and no one seems to be filling them. I have more, leverage when it comes to negotiating my salary. Whereas let's say I'm working, just phone support, customer service. Maybe that's like some kind of that's a position that's been globalized, right? You can hire someone in a different country and pay a lower wage, so you don't have that negotiating power. So it's always important to understand, your functional skill set in regards to the open market. How other organizations in my geographic area are typically compensate this particular position. Are you in a city where project managers make top dollar because they're just so valuable? Or are you in a flooded market where, there's a million project managers, so they're really, I can go find another project manager tomorrow. Those are things that definitely, what are they paying for your position in your geographical area? So which is more advantageous in terms of salary potential, in regards to whether you're, getting promoted at your current organization or you're applying for a new position with a new organization. That may depend on where you are on the corporate ladder. According to a 2022 NASDAQ article, which reviewed data from an MIT study, employees in the lowest 25% of paid occupations benefited more from switching companies. Think about it, right? If I'm making 15, 20 bucks an hour, and sometimes if you're getting promoted where you currently are, you may just get a cost of living increase or maybe a slight increase. But if I go to another organization, I reset my salary essentially. So that's just something to keep in mind. On the other hand, high earners, or those making in the top 25% of salaries, benefited more from promotions, according to the study. So if I'm actually a director at a company and I'm getting promoted to vice president, because I'm a higher earner, I may have more potential to get more of a salary increase by staying with my current organization, as opposed to going out to the open market where, maybe they don't pay vice presidents that well at another company. Whereas my company, I may get a little bit higher salary. In my experience, and this is just in my experience at times, sometimes leaving one company for another has offered more opportunity to command a higher salary. And that just kind of really sometimes, and that's not in every case, but that could mean that, hey, you're going to a new organization, you're getting to reset your salary back to what the actual market is if you're like in a hotbed for your position. So resetting your salary can have value at times.